Do you want to show the final fight between John Halo and Mr. Mandibles? It's
The
got some
intense final battle.
really great visual effects here.
We've really talked about the Arbiter up till now, so
Look,
I think
right?
it's
Oh, yeah, he's got his
satisfying
own.
to see
Yeah,
the resolution of this character's arc.
Look at him go. Look at that great animation there. This looks real.
Very,
Are they fighting on a hockey rink? Like, why did he have no friction there?
Look at how real this looks. The Halo 2 anniversary blur cutscenes came out a decade ago, by the way.
The Halo 4 Spartan Ops cutscenes look better than this.
Yeah, that's like a decade ago as well. Look at this. Look at that. Look at this animation.
To be honest, this is the only time I was like halfway interested in what was happening. It doesn't look good, but
well, yeah, I take stuff like this.
it's like watching a video game cutscene. I'm like, okay, I'll take it.
It's a conflict between two people that are best described with the title Murder Man. Because you've got Arbiter who killed a bunch of elites, and you've got John Halo who's killed a bunch of humans. And I don't know why they're fighting. They seem to be on the same side.
Well, it's basically the main reason is because it's funny because up until a point it was like the Mr. Mandibles, he could be redeemed if he killed John Halo, but like he's moved past that as a thing. So I think it's just for his own satisfaction at this point of just like, yeah, I'm gonna fight him. He's here, and I'm gonna chop him up with my sword. I like how John Halo gets a second win, but it's like for no reason at all. He just decides like, yeah, I'm gonna win now.
Does this look better or worse than Red versus Blue?
What
their animated stuff?
Like, the fight scenes, like those early ones, had cooler choreography. They had cooler things happening in them that were like really fun and well animated.
I think, by the way, you said Murder Man just reminded me. I think Rich Evans described Batman vs Superman, the Zack Snyder film, as Murder Man versus Captain Hypocrite, and then Mike said, which one's which?
I mean, that describes this too.
Yeah.
Like this I was thinking how one thing that continued to frustrate me immensely throughout all of the show is how many times an elite will be right in front of someone with the sword and they'll swing and they'll miss.
Well, there was one time in episode 1 where an elite grabs John Halo from behind and just throws him and then ignites his energy sword. He could have stabbed him. Could have gotten him. Yeah. But instead he just throws him.
I have a love-hate relationship with...
If you have no context, this is like you're watching them fight over the girl. Like, like this is the end of a rom-com or something.
Just to be clear, he blocks all of the pistol shots with his sword like a sheep.
I have a love-hate relationship with oneer shots, especially if it's like CGI characters in it, where it's just like, I don't care. I'm not impressed that it's all
dumb people are impressed by the
I like it.
I have a big old question now. Have you seen the one take in the Bad Guys, the DreamWorks movie?
I have
no.
Not. I still need to see that movie.
Do you? Okay, well, it's. Would you say that it doesn't matter what it looks like? It would necessarily not be impressive because it's like computer animated?
I mean, there's exceptions. Usually, like, I'm only in favor of oneers if it's all practical and it's used very sparingly, like maybe once in like a whole movie or like in an episode. Usually, I prefer like traditional cuts and shots.
Do you like? All right. Well, you said in one episode. I'm asking about Mr. Robot because that's like for the whole. Well, what about like 1917 then, for instance? Is that because that's like the whole movie? Well,
there's so much done there that's practical. Like I do respect that, even if it's like stitched together with some VFX like that. I think that's fine. But if it's like two entirely CGI modeled characters fighting and the camera is just like moving around them as if. Like, I mean, at least the environment, it's like shot, it looks like it's shot on location in a real sort of grassy place.
I think them shooting it in real was a big mistake because that's what contributes to it looking really bad. I think they would have been better off if they actually just did the whole thing computer generated, including the background, instead of doing this weird thing that they've done that they've talked about in post-production where they shot practically, but they painted over everything with CG and kept some of the elements in the background anyway to where it starts to look really weird. Where like it's clearly not tracking correctly. But on the thing of like, if you have like a one take that's animation, it's not like that still requires an immense amount of coordination between like different animators, because it's not like you're going to have one guy who's going to be doing every single animation in the shot. You'd have like multiple teams of animators that have to stitch their work together in a way that's like, seamless.
It can work, yeah.
I would say that
it's not always bad.
I think they get fucked over by the obsession with trying to make it a one is that the choreography suffers because the interest is to keep it all unbroken, but there's so many times where people are having to like screw up their sort of. I mean, The Last Jedi is one of the best examples of this in the throne room, right? They do it all, and then and it gets cut up anyway, which is the really funny part. But that like, you know, the part where Master Chief's got his it's like you now don't have the energy sword versus an Arbiter with one. It's like, what are you gonna do? And then he's like, I'm gonna use my grapple, which makes no sense at all.
No, you want to get him closer. If he's got a sword, you want to make sure he's closer. It's like one of the
stupidest things ever. Arbiter doesn't even have to swing. You just needed to fall onto Chief and he'd be dead.
No, he'd miss. Yeah. Arbiter, he just swings every time. See, he misses. He just can't hit him with that sword.
But it's like the interest in keeping it in a one, it's like it's so hard to explain how Chief's even alive, and it's like, yeah, but it's all in one shot. It's like,
well, see, he flipped a quarter 500 times and it landed on heads every time.
Well, it's like a gigantic pile of shit is more impressive than a small pile of shit, you know? But like, it's not, you know, it's not very meaningful. And I think that as well, when it comes to the sword stuff and their fascination with the swords in this show, I do not have any clue how the Master Chief is able to have a sword fight with an elite. Elites are like trained to use the swords. That's like part of their culture and their warrior element. How can he just pick up a sword and know how to sword fight? And it's not even like a human sword. It's like an alien sword.
And remember, this isn't supposed to be an adaptation of Halo 1, the game where you couldn't use the energy sword.
Yeah, only the elites had them in the first game,
Yeah, they would disappear when dropped. Or they would like blow up.
But the first time he picks them up, he knows how to turn it on, and he just turns it on like he's done it 100 times. Which maybe he has because they're so common that every elite's got a sword. So maybe everyone knows. It's like, yeah, here's the on button. It's the most understood piece of Covenant technology on account of how.
Why wouldn't Master Chief fight with his assault rifle? You know, the iconic weapon that he's usually uses in like the show.
Because he comes in with his pistol, but he doesn't seem to be smart enough to move the aim to a place where the energy sword isn't defending. And, you know, because that's how they do it, right? And then he's like, fuck it, I'll just sword fight you. And it's just like, okay, lose all your advantages.
It would be more interesting if Chief was able to, like, pick up a sword almost as if in a panic, and then use it like, oh, there's a sword next to me. I can use that to block this sword coming at me. And he's able to block, like, a blow or something to almost like not clumsily, but he's clearly not trained in swordsmanship, because of course he's not trained in swordsmanship.
Or they give him a mini boss. And during the Fall of Reach, he fights a lower ranking elite with a sword, and he's kind of clumsy with it, but he learns the basics.
Well, isn't the obvious thing that he fights Arbiter in episode 4 or 3 or whatever, and loses but doesn't die in a sword fight, and then it encourages him to be like, you know, next time this happens, I want to be able to actually know what I'm doing with this thing. And then you just have like 1 or 2 scenes where he's just practicing it while you have characters talk about shit. Easy.
I just feel like it's just. I don't think Master Chief should be sword fighting.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit about honor. He wants to win. Like,
he's going to use his guns that he's trained with.
He had to, I guess. The funny thing is, there's a part where Arbiter just wrecking him by punching him over and over again, but then stops.
Remember when Master Chief and Arbiter met in Halo 3, and Master Chief just put his gun up in his mandibles and almost killed the Arbiter with a gun? Yeah. Good times.
That's what Forge tried in that little battle that we...
good to think about the good times.
The battle we played. Forge tried to shoot him with the rifle and then lost it, and then he used his pistol, then he lost that, and then he used his knife. Which to me, like I said, I'm not saying it's some amazing battle, but it's way more satisfying to watch someone who's clearly trained in all of these weapons to use them all in order of how lethal they are, at least for him.
Yeah, to make it clear that he's trying to win and not just fulfill his fantasy of honor.
Yeah, it's weird. It also this fight also shows how shit the elite armor looks compared to the games. It looked really neat in games because you could see like the undersuit and even like the elite skin. In this, it just looks like I don't know why they abandoned the cool sort of designs that they had in the games.
I really couldn't tell this was supposed to be the Arbiter's armor until like episode 6 when he was in a brightly lit room.
Because it looks virtually the same as all the others. All the elites pretty much have the same kind of design, and they don't really have the elite, especially when in later Halo games when you had all the different varieties of elite ranks. They were very visually distinguishable, not just by the design of the armor, but by the color. So again, it's one of those things from the games that you have to animate them anyway. Maybe animate them in the way that's more like lore accurate and world building accurate, so that they don't all just blend together. You have some who are in the front with this armor. They have the ones in the back that kind of look, they're lower ranked, so they kind of look the same. Some look particularly special, but you don't get that. It's on that mountain of lost opportunities. It's just like why we never see any plasma pistols or carbines or needlers. It's just all blue things flying through the air and a bunch of elite clones with swords.
Yeah, I agree. They all look the same. I mean, there should be some variety, and the Arbiter's armor is supposed to be visually distinct and relatively sort of old-fashioned, like for them within their sort of culture. And the Arbiter is obviously like a title, right? It gets passed around from one elite to another, and whoever is the Arbiter gets that set of armor.
They killed a different Arbiter.
Done away.
I apologize.
Right.
I have a habit of answering
No, it's fine. So it seems like they've just thrown out the idea of like the Arbiter having that distinct armor, and now if they do reintroduce like the Arbiter from like Halo 2, he's just going to look like everybody else.
Mm-hmm. For anyone seeing the clip, he does get killed, but this is some Randy Arbiter. This is not an important one.
This is just some guy. It's just some guy.
Hello, you just listened to a segment of the podcast Every Frame a Pause, or EFAP. Hosted by YouTubers Mauler, Rags, and Fringy, and joined by a cycling variety of guests across the internet, they critically analyze media with exhaustive detail while pausing at every single frame. Subscribe to the EFAP channel and catch new episodes on Saturdays, as well as catch their smaller videos reacting to the latest and not-so-greatest movies and TV shows throughout the week. You can also subscribe here to EFAP Highlights for the latest shorts, clips, and supercuts, also uploaded throughout the week. Links to all the relevant channels can be found in the description section below, as well as links to their communities on Reddit and Discord. Thanks for watching.